ask you this. If I was going to give, you guys have a seat, man, you're making me nervous. Can I give something from behind me? If I was going to hand off this program to an incoming PMS, what are some of the things that I want to do with that individual?
Meet with him or her.
Okay, okay. Someone write this down. Do a note taker. I don't want to write on the board. Just one person. Meet. You do it, Senga. Type it in there. You're going to send this out to everybody. Meet with that individual, right? Okay. What else?
Talk about your daily battle rhythm.
Okay. Talk about my daily battle rhythm. Okay. What else?
Introduce them to your points of contact.
Oh, wow. That's a great one. Put that one up top, man. Or like highlight that one. Why?
So they know who you know.
Okay.
Help facilitate any process that you might have to do. So.
Okay, so if I'm going to transition and Colonel Conkey's coming in, I'm going to take her to introduce her to all my important people that have influence and make decisions and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. What else? Man, that would be great, right? If I had something that, when I leave out of here at the end of the day, if I'm gone, here is something you know what I mean? I've worked hard on this thing, right? This is something, whether it's digitally is the best, or hard copy, but something I can fall back on and go, oh yeah, I remember when Carson said that shit. I need to make sure I remember that, right? Excellent. What else?
An orientation to the area that you're working in.
Okay, what does that look like, Higa?
I guess the battalion AO, where viewed fine cadets on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the PT.
Okay. So just kind of like take that individual around and kind of show them the footprint, right? What are some of the things that you and your leader, where you were at? Absolutely, perfect, absolutely. What else? You got that one? What else?
Correct, sir.
Yeah.
What works and what doesn't work.
Okay, so my challenges, right? Here's some of the lessons that I've learned as the PMS for the last couple of years, right? Now, is that just freaking, you know what I mean, all over the place, or is it focused?
Focus.
Why? How am I going to focus that?
You could say with such as cadets,
Okay.
the community,
Okay, PT.
big army, PT's
Right.
even smaller, break it down subcategories.
Okay, so you can scale the discussion, right? To scale the challenges that I've had as the PMS, right? Or the great things about being a PMS, right? Does that make sense? Because these are some of the things. What else? Go. What else? Yeah.
Going over how key events have been run, how they could have been NARs for those events.
Okay, absolutely, right. Hey, I was in charge of this thing last year, and it's this thing called the golf tournament, or it's whatever. And here's some of the things that I learned, right, coming in. Here, hey, listen, do not piss off, Major General, whatever, when he comes to the golf tournament, or he likes to drink a certain beer, whatever it is, right? Just kind of save my brother or my sister from that pain. What else? Yeah.
Your standards.
Okay.
Your standards was probably 270 PT.
Okay.
You would want her to have the same or above.
Okay, yeah. So, hey, listen, this is what has made, the organization successful. Okay? Whether I am a platoon leader or I'm a PMS or whatever, right? Here are some of the things that has made us successful. Oh, by the way, I know that I'm only supposed to take one, potentially I'm only supposed to take one PT test a year, right? But at ROTU, why? Here, we take two, right? We take one in the fall and one in the spring for, actually we take two. But anyway, all right, what else? That's a good one. Things that make me,
Sir, how about your vision for the future, so they can kind of know where you're trying to take the program?
Okay, absolutely. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Get that one down. You got that one down? Okay, so we just did that little test. Why?
Because we'll be doing it very soon
With who?
with our, yeah, left seat race.
Yes, you are absolutely correct, all right? So, what was the last one?
The
The way ahead.
PMS's vision of the program.
Right, so, hey, platoon leader. Oh, hey, I was platoon last year. Hey, so here's my vision for the way ahead. That's why I was kind of like, okay, yeah, it's good, but right? So the reason why we just did that little deal right there was because we're gonna send that out. And here are our rules for transition, okay? From current person in the seat to next person in the hot seat. Does that make sense? Now guys, I'm doing something different this year than we have ever done. And that is giving you guys, letting you know who's in the hot seat before we go on the break. Never done that. You know why?
Turnover.
Huh?
So you want to have proper turnover, proper
Yeah, why haven't I ever done that?
Should we thrive in chaos?
It's part of it, yeah.
Prepare for any situation, any position.
Because I'm testing your adaptability. You wanna look at it that way, right? How adaptable are you, right? Everything, all our bonus stickers are all about adaptability, are they not? Being an adaptable future leader, a character, right? Able to thrive in chaos, all that kind of stuff, so that's why. Now, I don't even want, so we're doing it, I'm doing it this time because I wanna see how it's gonna work. I wanna see if the transition is gonna work. I wanna see if there's care involved with these next 2 weeks, 3 weeks of school, where we transition from one leadership to the next leadership with that other leadership still around, right? Where we can still ask questions and do all that kind of stuff. I wanna see if it works, see if it makes a difference. All right, and we'll go from there. We do MS4 Leader Academy at the beginning of the spring or fall to enable you to be successful, okay? So that's kind of back on the same philosophy we're doing on this time. Does that make sense? Make sure those go out, okay? Tomorrow, the leadership that we're gonna announce today is still in the hot seat, right? All the way through Thursday. What's happening on Thursday?
Award ceremony, sir, and change of command.
Okay, so we're gonna do it, we're gonna do a ad hoc, no, we'll call it ad hoc, we're gonna do a mini change of command ceremony at the award ceremony on Thursday, okay? When that next battalion commander takes that guide on, okay, hands it back to the new command sergeant major, all right? Sergeant major posts the colors, the new color, right? And then the battalion commander walks up there to the podium and says, all policies and procedures are still in effect, right? Nothing's changed, right? If you guys know what I'm talking about. As soon as that happens, woohoo, we're switching our hats around, okay? Friday morning, if you were that individual that you're now in the hot seat, you're in that hot seat, okay? And then now, you're gonna be in that left seat, okay? Or you're gonna be in the right seat, I apologize. I'll explain to you a left seat, right seat, I know that confuses some people, but you're gonna be in the right seat now, which means you're being driven around, okay? So, the guy over here on the left seat, all next week, or all the rest of this week, is gonna be showing you, after today, what's going on, okay? But on Friday, that changes. Now, you're gonna be driving, okay? So the training meeting with you next week, starting with PT on Friday, training meeting next week, all the new training commanders in the hot seat. Does that make sense? Okay? Have we gone out past, I hope we have. We gone out, where are we at? What week are we on?
Well, I put it as training week 19, I believe, or 18. I just continued it up, because I think it continues going.
Okay. Hey, I wanna add one more thing on there. Counseling packets. So, company commanders, Warno, probably in the next 12 to 24 hours, I'm going to be asking you for your counseling packets for your platoon leaders and your XOs. And if you counseled your first sergeants, I'm going to be asking for those. Okay, when you come see us, we're going to post some counseling time frames for the end of semester counseling for myself and Cat Morton. You guys are going to be bringing that when you guys come to see us for counseling. So that's another thing we want to add in there, right? If I'm a platoon leader, if you're a platoon leader, this is a test real quick. Remember you were saying, Pascal, you're a platoon leader, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a binder that has in the 4-week cycle, do you have, let's say, Resendez, if she was a squad leader for you, or a platoon sergeant, or maybe probably not a first sergeant, but a squad leader, first sergeant, or platoon sergeant, do you have a binder that has her initial counseling in it for a platoon sergeant and her last end of the 4-week cycle? Hey, here's what you did well. Here's some of the things that you need to continue to work on. I recommend you to be a platoon sergeant next, or you still need more work as a squad leader kind of thing. Do you have something like that?
Not that in depth, but I do have something like this there.
Okay, all right. But you could visualize what I talked about, right? Go ahead, Baker.
Sir, also on that note, though, the MS3 instructors take those counselings.
I know, but we can make copies.
Okay.
I want to make sure that the platoon leaders.
I'm just saying they don't have their signed ones. That's
Yeah. No, I'm tracking. That's where we're going in the spring. Okay, that's where we're going. So that MS3, like you, I don't know if this happened with you or not, but that MS3 at the end of this spring semester can sit down with that instructor, okay, and open up that counseling packet and have a packet in there that says, oh, I see you were a platoon sergeant in the first cycle, squad leader second cycle, you know what I mean? And kind of see, you know what I mean, how that individual did. And oh, by the way, here's an OER support form that you're now going to take forward with you to go to camp. Like, I think, did we do that last year with you guys?
To an extent, sir, yes, we did.
Some did? That was what we were supposed to do, is you guys are supposed to go forward with things you need to work on at camp kind of stuff. So anyway, that's kind of where we're going, all right, with this whole evaluation mentality. Does that make sense? All right? Okay, we got two more things to talk about before I announce the stuff. We're gonna talk quickly. I'm gonna let Captain Morgan run this one, because this is a good one for Captain Morgan, because he has some experience in this world, and that is ethical decision-making. So let's talk real quick about the post, the primer that we did. Anybody wanna throw a dart out there real quick and talk about that? What did we learn? I saw some really, really good analysis, and you guys have already hit on why we did that primer and what it really means. Let's see if we can bring it out in here. I'm not gonna say who said that or who did it, but one of you already brought it out in the form, in the primer.
What were you gonna say, Carter?
There were a lot more, answers than I'd expected.
What do you mean, be specific?
A lot more variety in what people would actually
Okay, for instance?
like who they would kill, why they would. Some people wouldn't have killed anybody, some people wanted to kill everybody. And also just the reasoning behind.
What'd you choose?
I chose not to kill the guy on the roof. I thought it would have been good to shoot the woman before she handed out the explosive, and then I would have shot the kid when it was right.
Do you think you had time to shoot the one?
That was part of that. We debated that, but
Who's we, you know what?
no, Maddox and I did, and I think a couple of others.
Side debate. Hey, just real quick, before we go down this hole any farther, I just wanna ask one thing. And I want you to be honest. Before that primer hit, if you don't think that you are gonna potentially have to make a decision, maybe not squeezing the trigger in that same role, but as an officer and as a lieutenant in the next year, who did not think that they would ever have to make a decision like that potentially in the next year? Before that. Go ahead, be honest.
Don't be ashamed to be honest. Raise your hand high.
So you guys think
Thank you
that,
for
you
the
guys
courage to
think
be
that there was
honest.
never, that you would never have to make a decision that important in the next year of your life?
When you phrase it like that, no, sir,
Yeah.
but that specific, like a scenario like that.
Life and death.
Oh,
I'm talking life and death. I'm talking, the decision that I'm about to make right now is either gonna cause people to die or live. Yeah.
I wouldn't expect to do that in the next years.
Okay, I wanna tell you, each one of you something. You will. You have the potential to. Okay? I'm not kidding to you. I want you to understand real quick, we'll go back to why we do what we do, why we wear this uniform. The potential to you to have to make a life and death decision, either for your soldiers or for something like in the next year. Okay, I will say after you graduate, in the first year of being a platoon leader on the ground. Okay, maybe not, because I know you have 6 months here still with us, right? But I want you to understand the realistic, what you guys are about to step into. Okay? Does that make sense? If you wanna come talk about that with either myself or Captain Morton or any of the other cadre leaders that have, because I really want that to sink in. That the decisions that the country is asking you to make as soon as you freaking commission are potentially life and death. And if you don't start to understand that now and start preparing yourself mentally and physically for that moment, you're wrong, man. You're in the wrong freaking profession. I don't care if you're a freaking chemical officer or you're a signal officer, okay? Because that signal convoy gets hit more than that infantry convoy gets hit. Okay? Did y'all see the news today about sending folks in some more forces in this area? I know they're special forces, but if you don't think this is coming, man. Okay, so I just want to digress to that. I want you to understand that. Think about that. Okay? Go ahead.
Why do you guys think we do all these different ethical dilemmas and things like that? Why do you think we bring up these kind of scenarios throughout your time here in ROTC?
Just as Colonel Carson said, to make us think and to kind of prepare us for these situations, to see what kind of situations can come up that put stress
So
on us.
prepare us, right? But how are we reasonably going to be able to prepare you for everything that you could possibly come across right out there?
No, sir, I think it's more just to make us aware of, maybe like Yoshi said, what we could fall, like, what we could see, and then to have something to base our future decision off of.
I like that. What were you gonna say?
We all pretty much have our own way of thinking.
Mhm.
By opening it up to a discussion forum like this, especially in ethical decisions, we understand that there's more than one right way. There's
Yeah.
more than one right answer.
I like that. Who else is gonna raise hand?
Sir, I think as well, like, especially in regards to the situation that was posed in the primer, we're discussing life and death, and for a lot of us, our moral and ethical values tell us you should not kill someone. But our job is saying, right now, you need to make that decision. So I think being able to discuss that in this sort of format is helpful.
I agree. And here's the way I like to look at it, okay? That kind of a decision, how much time do you have reasonably? Seconds, right? That's kind of a pretty big expectation that we have of each other, right? So we're using this forum to kind of dilate that time, to discuss it. Because right now, we all have our own little moral guidelines. But when it comes into life and death, what I've seen, especially with cadets, or people who are new to that kind of experience, is that gray area on what I would do is a lot bigger than what we need it to be. So what we're doing is we're trying to get you to decide where your moral lines lie and how to make sure that they line up with the Army values. So even though we can't anticipate everything, we can't prepare you for every exact scenario, at least we can get your lines defined closely enough so that when that decision comes, when you're poised with that, when you're given that decision to make, you'll be able to make it quickly enough because you already know which side of the line it falls. Does that make sense? That's kind of like the way I like to look at it, all right? Because you only do have that amount of time. And the problem with this is that one of the big expectations we have, and what I want to kind of get across to you, is that there are going to be decisions that you're going to encounter in your career that just because it is your decision to make, no matter what the outcome, no matter what you decide, you're going to be a different person at the end of that decision. Okay? So prepare yourselves for that. So we're talking about the different possibilities that we could do. Someone else, start talking about what other people were thinking about, what they thought were interesting, throw some stuff out there. Or you can just jump right in. Absolutely, if you want.
Well, I would have killed him, sir.
All of them?
In male. So I just.
There was 2 males.
Well, the military age male.
Okay. Everyone understands what a military age male is, right? If you don't be shy. That's a term that's frequently used. Okay, go ahead.
So, sir, I had a similar situation.
To the self, I mean.
Yeah, right,
Okay.
sir. In Afghanistan, we were on a operation, air assaulted onto a mountain, and we had just set in the smoke by fire. Across the way, the guy had kind of been moving in and out. We saw him. I told my platoon sergeant, hey, I have someone moving right now, and I'm pretty sure he's going to sit in and start doing something. He said, what do you mean? I said, he keeps moving position to position. They look like fighting positions. He's like, okay, can you PID anything? I said, no.
What's PID? So
Positive identify any weapons or.
So positively identify weapons. Yeah, that's what PID is. Good.
So, I lost sight of him for about 2 minutes, and then right after that, it just started volleying RPGs. Like him and about 3 other positions started volleying RPGs at us. Long story short, we took 6 casualties that day. I treated 1. No one died, but the decision haunts me still because I didn't tell my platoon sergeant, hey, I really think we should do something about this. I couldn't ID anything like this situation, but it's one of those things that Captain Morton said, it will haunt you. And it won't haunt you, it'll change you.
So by the law of war, did you do anything wrong?
I didn't, because I couldn't PID anything. Virginia Convention states I couldn't do anything. ROE said I couldn't do anything. But it's still one of those things like, it just didn't bother me.
But on the flip side of it, can you go and shoot every guy that's got a cell phone on a rooftop in Iraq?
No, but the reason I would in this situation is they said, if you think he's reporting troop movement, do it. It seems, and I know the situation, not the situation in the movie, but I know the area where it happened there is they were clearing buildings. There was supposed to be really no one out in the streets. They knew that. He was getting on top of a roof with his cell phone. He knew was spotting troop movement. I would have engaged him.
You're able to make that call because you have a little more understanding of that environment and the fact that, yes, the mission parameters were probably would have been, this area has been cleared and there should not be any folks, you know what I mean? So despite the Marines are still clearing rooms and all that kind of stuff, to see anybody there, I thought would be suspicious.
You gotta be careful of that stuff too, though, too. whenever you guys think about, are gonna end up, if you end up having that decision. Because I've had my vehicle blown up and all the guys in my vehicle medevaced. And the entire time this is going on, I've seen a guy just doing what Rellen's doing right now. Can't kill him. Went and tried to ball him up. But because there was a major train feature, a large wadi in between us, we couldn't get to him fast enough. But that gave me the authorization. Hey, can I shoot him? He's got a camera. So that's where we're trying to help you define these things, so you know how to deal with it. It's gonna be emotional. All right, anyone else? Thank you for sharing that.
I would ask, so the kicker is when the Bible says if you're wrong, they're gonna fry you. So I think that's a big, obstacle that we have to face as soldiers. And I know those are in place so that we don't go on a killing rampage.
Right.
And just to go shoot, but that obstacle that he said, if you're wrong, they're gonna fry you for that?
That's a great point. I wouldn't say just as soldiers, I'd say for this audience, as leaders. The decisions that you will make, even though you aren't physically yourself potentially pulling the trigger, if you're maneuvering your platoon, and your platoon kills people, that is your responsibility. You killed those enemy combatants, or innocent people if it comes out to be that. So how do you bear that decision? How do you help share that moral load with your soldiers? Because everyone ends up processing it differently. How do you take care of your team after an incident? Anyone else have anything they want to share?
I didn't really see it talked about, but something I just thought about was using the right asset to engage a specific target.
Okay.
A sniper is a very valuable asset, especially when providing overwatch. In the case of the military-aged male, the Marines on the ground had assets available to them they could have engaged. He didn't pose an immediate, imminent threat at that moment. The woman, once she handed off the explosive, didn't pose an immediate, imminent threat.
Some of your peers don't think that. Some of your peers thought that potentially because we have programs to pass munitions back to civilians, or back to us, that potentially that young man was just bringing the RKG down to the US forces.
There's that potential as well. That's a risk you'd have to take in making that decision. You pass that information down to the troops on the ground, and then they go through their escalation of force if they want. Something you gotta realize too is that remote detonating, just because the child's running, he doesn't have to be the one detonating it, he doesn't have to be the one throwing it. It could be a 2-year-old kid that has no idea what he's doing, he's just running towards the Americans, asking for candy, but he's got a vest on.
Hence we're making, exactly, and that's why we're having this conversation about these decisions.
Right. So my point was, would you want to use such a valuable asset as a sniper, because as soon as they fire, their location's going to be compromised, to engage somebody who's making a phone call? Or do you want to save that asset for a more immediate, more imminent threat?
First time I ever saw a child used as a weapon was when I was in Ghazni in Afghanistan. So what ended up happening was President Karzai, then President Karzai, was actually coming through and doing some meet and greets and things like that. My platoon was tasked with clearing the route and then being a part of the security program. With that, we were integrated with Afghan National Police officers. And while this one police officer was watching a road, specifically more like an alleyway that was wide enough for a vehicle, a kid came up to him and started pulling on his pant leg, asking, hey, can I get some help? The guy wasn't really paying attention, was like, get out of here, kid. He was like, no, I need help, I don't know how to make this work. Police officer's like, no, get away here, get away from her. He's like, no, sir, you don't understand. I'm trying to get the flowers to come out, but I can't get it to work. And the kid was holding 2 wires together. And he had a suicide vest on. And the Taliban had told him, if you put the wires together, flowers are gonna come out of the vest. So he was sitting there trying to get it to work, but he couldn't get it to work. And then the officer was like, whoa, and like held his hands apart. But that's what the enemy does. Because it specifically targets us in a different way. It makes us, in a way, moral casualties.
Like we talked about last week, the Syrian refugees.
Anyone else got anything to share before I do one more story? Who thinks this is a realistic scenario? Other than the fact that, yes, Chief
Well,
Chris
you-
Kyle.
who would have thought that, though, back to my original question, though, before you saw it? I don't think very many of you would. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you, the realism of the profession you're about to go into. It's real.
So,
Go ahead, so share your other story.
so
Go ahead.
to give you guys some perspective, Second Lieutenant Doug Morton ordered the killing of a kid. I did. We were out outside of Gardez. We were doing our out clearance mission. What we found out recently is that we had just gotten these new vehicles that help us with route clearance. We're no longer doing route clearance with Humvees. We're all really excited about that because Humvees don't last very long. We had Huskies and RG-31s, but at the same time, the enemy was trying to figure out how to combat this new threat. So they basically were looking for instance, center mass of the vehicle in order to try to get their IDs to be more effective against us. So, and to do that, they needed to find the size of the wheelbase, find that center mass. And it would be just something just as simple as taking a string, tying off a knot, and then measuring it and tying off another knot and sticking the string in the pocket, and then walking on. So we were really cognizant of anyone coming up or investigating our vehicle. So we were driving along one day, doing route clearance. There was a young person, young boy, that was sitting there looking at my vehicle, doing one of these things. Just going like that. And down, looking at the vehicle, looking at all the other vehicles and things like that. And so we said, okay, well, hey, let's stop. I said, hey, let's stop and talk to this person. I had my interpreter in my vehicle, and I also had a Marine Corps major who was wanting to see how we did route clearance in this area. And what ended up happening was we stopped, and on the RG-31, you have the top of it has doors that open up. You leave them unlocked because if a vehicle gets blown up, that gives a direction for the overpressure on the inside of the vehicle to go somewhere else. Otherwise, it ends up liquefying a bunch of internal body parts, and survivability significantly decreases. What I would also do is I would pop those up, and they're reasonably bulletproof. So I use them kind of like as a chicken shield, something to get behind, but also gives you some better perspective. So what I did was, at first I popped up and said, hey, let's stop here and let's talk about this, and interpreter's helping me out talking to this kid. And I said, hey, just stop right there. We want to get down. We want to talk to you. And we had a suicide vest threat in the area. So the first thing we asked him to do was like, hey, let's lift up your shirt and turn around so we can see. Kid refused to do it. So, interpreter says again, do it, and we're also doing hand and arm signals. Hey, lift up your shirt, and stuff like that. And after a while, what the kid did was kind of unbutton the top 3 buttons and just kind of showed the top of his chest. I'm like, no, lift up your shirt. Refused to do it, and he said, okay, fine. How about you just pull it tight around your waist? And when the kid did, we saw the outline of a block that was about this big on his abdomen. So I was like, holy shit, this guy's got a vest on. Got back down inside the vehicle. On the RG-31s, they have little portholes on the side, so we open those up and we start talking to them. Hey, listen, lift up your shirt. Let's have a look at what you got, all right? And at this point, the villagers and things like that that are in a nearby town, they were all spreading away. They're all getting away, getting behind cover and stuff like that. And like, a couple of them are actually trying to tell the kid, hey, lift up your shirt, lift up your shirt. Then he very quickly reached into his pocket. And my gunner almost shot him right then. We said, no, pull your hands back out. And he pulled his hands back out like this. We're like, hey, do this, Tell him to lift up his shirt, wouldn't do it. And then for some reason, he got a wild hair up his, and he made a run right for a vehicle. And so my gunner took a shot with his M4, put it right in front of him, moon dust pops up, sprays it in the air. Kid stops, looks at it. We're like, stop, don't do anything. Just don't move. We just want to make sure, you just want to talk to you, just lift up your shirt, make sure you don't have anything. And then I looked at my gunner, I said, if he comes at us again, kill him. And he did. Guy took another run, gunner dropped another warning shot in front of him, kid ran right through it, next shot he killed him. Come to find out, it was a pack of nuts that he had gotten at the local bazaar that he had tucked into his waistband. And on top of it, he was a mentally challenged kid from another town. Wandered into the bazaar every once in a while, things like that. People knew of him, but people didn't know exactly who he was from that town, or who his family was. So, yeah. It's rough. I know that he killed a kid. Mentally challenged. What he was reaching into his pocket was actually part of a, you know what a Jenga truck is? So those big trucks that they carry a lot of stuff over there, and what they do is for decoration, they have almost like earrings, really long earrings, but all on the base of the vehicle, so he had a piece of that, and I guess it was like his lucky charm or something. So what ended up happening was they shut down my platoon, and a PRT reservist major came in. PRT is a provincial reconstruction team, basically goes in after an area's been cleared and tries to figure out, hey, listen, kind of does what CA does. How do we rebuild things for you? How do we give you a well, things like that, to kind of help out with the cause. Came in to do our investigation, and the message that actually went out, kind of getting back to what you're talking about, Bud, was I found out when we were going through the chow hall during the investigation, a couple of my guys were like, I'm never taking a shot at anyone again. If we're gonna get in this much trouble, people are, you know, if we're gonna get in this much trouble for shooting someone and defending ourselves. So I had to pull my platoon in with that major alongside and explain to them that everyone has the right to defend themselves no matter what comes out of this, and that it's my responsibility. So I took on responsibility for that. I made that absolutely clear to all of them. That day, when it happened, we got down after the, from the vehicle, and I put my hand on my gunner. I said, that was my order to kill. I killed him. I killed him. Just because, when he found out I was a kid, he was like, oh my gosh. I was like, nope, you didn't kill him. I killed him. I told you to do it. You followed orders. I killed him. And then after that, I said, hey, listen, no matter what you'll do, if you defend yourselves out there, I will take responsibility for it. And lucky that we had the Marine Corps major was in there, because first thing he said was, hey, that was a clean shoot, because he saw everything from top to bottom, and also gave us a little bit more legitimacy in our investigation. We ended up getting reinstated. But that decision still comes up and bites me every once in a while. I'll be playing with my kids and my son, and there's been times where I've been like, wow, like, do I have a right to be a dad after doing that? And every time I work through it in my head, because I go through the steps over and over and over again, I was right. I was 100% right. We did it exactly right. All of my guys came home. But it was an absolutely tragic outcome anyway. But that's what we expect you all to be able to make the decisions with and be able to bear the weight of it. That's why being an officer is hard. Okay?
Is there a right answer to Cap Moore's situation or the sniper on that roof? Or is it what you can live with at the end of the day when you look yourself in the rearview mirror? Knowing you made a call to bring your brothers and sisters home.
It was interesting, sir, because that summer camp at CLC this summer, I talked to I gave this scenario to a couple of platoons that are going through the regiment. One of the cadets actually said, wait, sir, you murdered someone and you're still in the Army? Yeah. So it took me, after I got back from my third deployment, that's the first time I talked to my wife about it. Still a long story, kind of share that with her, but she's an awesome woman and helped me out with that. So, but yeah, it's, be ready.
And Doug was a second lieutenant. Out of a crappy ROTC, no, not even ROTC, OCS, so I didn't even do, I was gonna say ROTC.
And the Baylor Staters on the
Yeah.
right.
Baylor State. But, so, I think, the feedback we've gotten from other cadets as they've gone through this program, is stories like that brings it home to you guys, and that sets you guys apart from other peers, from other programs. Because you really need to understand, Sangha, that you graduate out of here, you could be Second Lieutenant Sangha, you know what I mean, in Afghanistan. And that can happen. Right? Second Lieutenant Cruz.
Enemy's done things to try to stop convoys and for an ambush, but a technique they use to stop convoys is to initiate an ambush, is put a kid out in front of
Yep.
the
I used to be the ROE in 0506, and until the first kid that got ran over, you talk about that driver. And come to find out, the kid just wanted to come get candy from the convoy. That was your ROE. If a kid comes out in front of a convoy, you're running them over. You do not stop. Do not stop.
So then, secondary, recognize the effect that your decisions have on your team. And help them deal with it. Because things like that can pull a team apart, or can actually accentuate what brotherhood, sisterhood, what that really means. That you're there for each other. Thanks, sir.
Hey, last two pieces of guidance I'll give you, and you wanna write it down, you can, but it's taken care of me, many, many, many times. And it was given to me by all of us, by my brigade commander in the 82nd Airborne prior to one of my deployments. And his guidance to us was, at the end of the day, I don't want you to remember anything except for these two things. One is, I want you to treat every single individual person that you come across in this deployment with dignity and respect. And I also want you to be prepared to shoot in the face. Now, I'll let you think about, that's the one thing. So I want you to treat everybody with dignity and respect and be prepared to shoot him in the face. Why do you think he said that last part? Why do you think he said any of that? Yeah? Short, sweet?
Sometimes it's necessary.
Why did he say faith? Or I don't even think, I don't know if he said faith. Maybe I added that. Maybe he said, he was trying to get after precision. He was trying to get after the lethality and the precision of the organization by using that analogy. Okay, not to cause collateral damage, but to be precise and treat everybody in respect. But as soon as something goes bad, get after it in the precise way that you've been trained. That was one thing. The other thing he said was, I want you to be prepared for the worst thing that could possibly happen to you wherever you go, around every corner. And I want you to be ready for it. So we created a mentality in my organization where we would anticipate things, whether it's an RKG coming, or whether it's someone in a house, or it's a kid. And those are the scenarios that I would run through with my company prior to deploying and on deployment when we got together. And it helped. It helped because we actually were able to visualize some things prior to those things occurring, and it saved lives. So treat everybody with dignity and respect, and be prepared to go to town when it's time to go to town in that precise manner. And what's the worst thing? Whatever the work, be prepared. What's the worst thing that can happen to you at this moment, and are you ready for it? So it's kind of interesting. Doug, thanks for sharing your story. I know that's difficult to talk about, but I appreciate you sharing that with these great Americans as they go forward, because that's something that they'll remember, down years from now. So, does anybody else want to talk about anything else on that before we move on with the scenario? At the end of the day, do you guys understand that it really is about your brother and your sister on the left and your right, and there really is no right answer? Okay? The answer is what you can live with. My answer is different than your answer. Does that make sense? Some of you might not be ready to make that kind of decision right now. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if that's okay. We had one cadet last year that's like, hey, sir, I'm just a senior in college, man. I don't know. I'm ready to do that. Yeah, and we had to sit down and talk with this young man about it. You know what I mean? So that's why I just want to bring this home to you, the understanding of the potential of this happening. Just remember Second Lieutenant Morgan down the road, okay? Fair? Or PFC Brown. Were you medicing at that point? Anybody else have any other stories they want to share in that arena where they had to make a decision that had some life and death? Okay. What's next? Chain of command?
Want to announce it, sir?
Okay, let's do this.
Jump in.
Announce it, good.
Okay, when I call your name, come on up here, okay?
Make sure you get a good tight shot of people's faces there.
You might wanna get up there. You might wanna get up there.
Okay, let me get, okay, before I get this out, I want you to understand something. Everything that we do, we have a plan, okay? Sometimes the plan works really, really good. Sometimes the plan don't work so good, okay? But as an organization, you try to get better every single time. Does that make sense? Okay? We're putting you in leadership positions in the spring, and it's balanced, okay? Some of you still need a little bit more development, and that's okay, all right? There's nothing wrong with that, because again, it's all about walking out of this door here in 6 months or whatever, and going out there and doing kind of things we just talked about. So some of you are in position for more development. Some of you are in position because you've earned it, and because you've done an outstanding job, and I want to see how far you can take this bad boy. Does that make sense? Okay? If you want to know, I owe you that. I'm your rater. If you want to know why you're in a position, come see me afterwards, and I'll sit down and be 100% honest with you. Is that fair? Okay? I owe that to you. But I will tell you, a majority of you guys are in these positions because you've already done a great job. And I want to see how far this organization can go this spring as we move towards commissioning 90% of you guys. Okay, so let me get Lobatowski, Okiyama, and Morales up here. Lobatowski right here, and then Oak, and then Morales. All right, guesses? So your peers will decide what, you know what I mean, based on your performance. Your peers will let you know whether or not you're in a position because of development or because of. So what do you think? Huh? They are company commanders, absolutely. Toski, you are the Alpha Company commander. Okay? Cadet Okiyama, you are the Bravo Company commander. And Cadet Morales, you are the Charlie Company commander. Congratulations. Okay, let me get Kendig, Dela Cruz, Orozco up here, please. Huh? So you guys go ahead and stand next to you guys are XOs, but go ahead and stand next to people you think I would put you in as the XO. Is that what you're going with? $1. All right, so Kendi, congratulations, you are correct. Good job, you're the XO for. You nailed it. Bravo Company XO. And Orozco. All right, stay there. Let me get Anuma and Washington up here. Who are these two great Americans? Huh?
Alpha Company. Headquarters.
Okay. Cadet Anuma, Cadet Washington, you guys are platoon leaders under Alpha Company Commander Cadet Lobatowski. All right, let me get Membrari and Mitchell up here, please. All right, you are actually not with Okiyama. You guys are, there you go. You guys are a Charlie Company. Platoon leader for Charlie Company. Cool. And then let me get Boobalog and Win.
It was close.
All right. Boobalog and Win, Bravo Company platoon leaders. Cool. Your company leadership for the spring, okay? I'm entrusting each one of you guys to continue to prepare for camp if you haven't gone to camp yet, because there are some of you out there, and also prepare these MS3s to go forward and go to camp, all right? So on your way out, there's a little FM or ADRP right there I want you to grab, which I don't think you guys, your peers before you use, but grab one of those on your way out, and we'll talk about that later. You have that when I come find you, okay? All right, go ahead, you guys have a seat. What do we want to do? I know staff. There's only limited staff.
Mitchell, you did such a good job.
All right, the JROTC coordinators. Is that what y'all want?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is how much stuff we have going on in the spring?
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Everything.
How important is the JROTC coordinator? Or what are some of the key leader attributes that a JROTC coordinator needs to have in order to be successful?
You need a personable person. If you're going out talking to a lot of cadets, you're talking to a lot of retired people that have really good connections. So I mean, if you work that really well, it's really good for you.
Okay. Okay.
Knowing which volunteers are in an event, or is that too soon?
Okay, so, you guys can just stand up, unless you wanna come on up here, and we'll clap for you, but, Cadet Rella is the JRPC coordinator for. As well as your battle buddy there, Cadet Agluba. There you go. We've got a lot of JRPC events coming up in the spring. You're probably gonna be okay, let me get Lopez, Cruz, and Yoshimoto up here. Lopez not here, huh? Come on up. Yeah, you're gonna need a review of Sergeant Major and no, I'm just kidding. Actually, so Cruz and Yoshimoto, you guys are the assistant S4s. Lopez is the S4 for the spring. All right, let me get Sangha and Higa up here. You guys have both done a great job in the fall. Your battalion S6 is Cadet Sangha, and your AS6 is Cadet Higa. So these are the AS6.
Storyboards and photos, baby.
Okay, first, let me get Amran and Brown up here, please.
It's not fair, everyone's making their faces on the way up here, Rowland, you're missing everything.